speak about overcoming adversity. We will speak about running your business with less mindset and a lot more heart and soul.
Most people live their lives from birth to death without finding this gift called purpose.
Wherever you are is exactly where you're supposed to be.
It's not, the knowledge is not power. It only becomes powerful when you apply the knowledge. And I think what we struggle with as human beings is we know the knowledge, but we struggle with the application of. You know what, Jasper, I just want to mention one thing, and again, you're spot on. You know, I think this thing about doing things that unsettles us and that's uneasy, and that is where growth happens.
We are live and very excited to be joining by Pepe Marais of Joke Public, one of the biggest advertising marketing agencies in South Africa. He's also the author of The Growing Greatness. And I've started noticing, especially after I went to the Robin Sharma event last year, like most of you know, he also went to one of those events, the Titan Summit, and I could see just how I resonate with a lot of his beliefs and statements that he make on, especially on LinkedIn, that I started following him. So yeah, I'm very excited to just pick his thoughts and his mind about a number of things. We will speak about overcoming adversity. We will speak about running your business with less mindset and a lot more heart and soul, and also quite a number of other daily habits, morning routines that might come out of this interview. There's no setup of any questions. I told him I just want to do this interview just by doing it in the flow, and whatever need to come out in this half an hour to an hour is exactly what need to come out. So, and lastly, I think I also resonate with him a lot. His son has got a beautiful name, and that is also Jasper or Jasper. So Pepe, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks, Jasper. Of Jasper, thank you.
So I want to maybe just give you a quick moment just to, I've mentioned a number of things right now. Not sure if I'm spot on or, but just tell us a bit more about Joke Public and exactly what you do. You are the creative director and co-founder of Joke Public. So the floor is yours.
So Joke Public, we launched Joke Public in 1998 out of Cape Town, which is significant because we just opened, well, I'm now about to let the cat out of the bag. We're about to open Joke Public in Cape Town again tomorrow. So we launched in 1998, myself and my founding partner, Gareth Legg. And it was quite a revolutionary model called takeaway advertising. So we put the pricing and the cost model of the agency, we made it transparent. And we wanted to do advertising for the man on the street. And we sold the business prematurely to expand offshore. We had an office in New York. We didn't sell it for money. We sold it for a dream of rolling our concept out. And I was working for a large international listed corporation for 9 years of my career, which was soul destroying, but a gift because I learned so much out of it in terms of business. And we bought the business back in the previous recession, the 2008, 2009 big economic knock that the world took. Pretty much restarted it from scratch and built it over the past decade into what is today the #1 creative agency in South Africa, and also the largest independent, because in our industry, 80% of the agencies are owned by America. So we are 100% South African owned by ourselves. We also very, very committed to transformation. So we are 60% Black owned now as of last week. So we're making really big strategic moves during the Corona crisis.
So I've read about your business failure in 2009, and you actually just mentioned 2008, 2009 as well right now. So there's a lot of inspiration in success, but I think even more inspiration in adversity. I've recently shared my story as well. So I would, in short, I mean, I believe in every failure there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of opportunity to grow as a person, to grow your business again, but especially grow yourself, because you know, I mean, you know that, but the better, you will never be better than your inside. So your outer world will never be better than your inside. So, and it's during time of failure that we actually start growing, and because we are forced to grow. So maybe if you don't mind, I mean, just, you don't have to go into detail, but just run us through the business failure, and also the lessons from your side, what you've learned from there.
Awesome. It's so true what you're saying. We are very averse to change, and we like our comfort zone. And I almost find that being successful financially as a business can make you lazy. And I'm very averse to that notion. Like, I think you should always be not nervous, but you should always be on the front foot and proactive with your business, and be very mindful not to fall in the flow. But what happened there was super interesting. I mean, if you give, I'm 52 years old now. So I grew up in the old South Africa. I've got an incredible mother. My father, in hindsight, I know what his problem was, but he was an alcoholic. And we grew up in the old South Africa, which means my conditioning was racist. My mother's not a bad person. People around me weren't bad people, but we were conditioned as a bunch of racists. And I think I worked very hard to get out of that conditioning. So the first thing that happened was I fired someone for racism in our business back in 2006. And this person went to work for our largest client, and he then fired us. So we lost half our business overnight based on integrity. I thought it was the integrous thing to do. I wanted to be part of the new South Africa, and I did something that my heart told me was the right thing. And we lost half of the business, and it was actually the right thing because it led me towards finding my own purpose. That was the starting point of my last 13 years. But it also positioned us quite poorly in the next year when we started going into the recession, 2008. Because we were a much smaller business and we didn't have any capital in the business. So when the recession came, it really took a huge knock on our business, and we went backwards. We were within 1 month of technical bankruptcy. We ran out of cash. So there were a whole sequence of events that when I look back now was really, it was meant to be, because I wouldn't be where I am today and the person I am. And I think the business would not be the kind of business that it is, which is a purpose-driven business. But the lessons out of it, well, there's a few lessons. The worst thing that can happen is the best thing that can happen, as to your own acknowledgement now. Because if I didn't behave on integrity, we wouldn't have lost the business. We would never have had the capital to buy it back, because that actually sparked buying the business back. So that was the first good thing that came prior to the recession. But the big lessons out of that is the power of purpose for a business in this very challenging time, because that's what's keeping us on point with all the challenges of coronavirus. And the second thing, and this I give credit all the time to Gareth, because he runs the financial side of the business and I run the product side. But it's put discipline in the business to have a lot of cash in the business. So that little incident really made us disciplined in terms of not taking money out of the business and keeping capital in the business, which is why we are well positioned to make it through coronavirus without any loss of jobs. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons. So the purpose is the one side, the more sort of being side, the more spiritual side, the more inner side, and the more human outer side is the reality of cash in the business.
Wow, it's two amazing points, and I've been really working in myself as well, obviously with the help of a lot of mentors, to really find. I like the word ikigai. The ikigai is that Japanese word for your passion, your purpose, and waking up in the morning for something that's bigger than yourself. And something I've noticed from a lot of your posts that I see as well, I can see you live your purpose as well. And I think when we start finding our purpose, then work becomes fun. everything in your life becomes fun, because nothing is it's a struggle. Nothing is effort to do, because if everything becomes effortless, because everything is fun. Because if you wake up in the morning and there's something bigger than just running and striving and chasing money, I think then your life becomes fulfilled. So yeah, I think that's, and I'm sure you also have a bigger purpose. If you don't mind, I think that's a big topic of the day, is also the heart and the soul. And I think when we just focus on mindset, obviously mindset is important. I mean, like you mentioned about the cash in your business, running your business properly, having certain affirmations and visualization if you're into that. But keeping your mind strong is good. Associate with the correct people. But I think what Corona's had to taught us in this time was less mindset, and you can't control everything with money, and start operating your business with a lot more heart and soul. So if I can reflect that back to you, in your business and in your life, how did you made that change to find your ikigai, your purpose, and implement that in your personal life and your business?
Yeah, it's you know, consciousness is a wonderful thing. I think the information's been around for thousands of years, but somehow we're only meant to listen at a certain time. If we're fortunate enough, most people live their lives from birth to death without finding this gift called purpose. You know, and I think a lot of people might find a religion, which I think is a good. I don't want to. I believe in religion and I believe in God, so I'm not slating religion, but I think we forget that everything is actually within. And I mean, if I even think of the way I used to pray back in the day, I used to look up to the heavens and pray to something far away. But as I discovered my purpose, everything moved into myself, which to me is an indication that we each have that spiritual being, that godliness inside ourselves. It's not easy to discover. And the ikigai, the purpose, the soul within. I mean, I know factually that the brain and the head that processes at 2,000 bits per second, you know, that's what we use for most of our decision making, the ones in business. But the biggest decision in our lives, which probably links to our life partner, we make with the heart. And the heart, the intelligence of the heart is 400 billion bits per second. So it's like 1 gram against 2 tons of power that's untapped because we're not conscious of it. So for me, it took me to lose my business, or our business, mine, Gareth's business back then. It's now a whole bunch of us that's got equity in the business. But back then, it took us to lose our business. It took me to lose my health. It took me to lose my relationship with my wife. It took me to lose pretty much every single thing I worked for my entire life. It took my entire vision to be scattered, to go and search to find the answers within rather than outside of myself. And that happened in 2007. There's the various ways. I mean, you can go and meditate. I've got a friend who meditated for seven days in Tibet and found his purpose. So I'm sure there's hundreds of different ways. I do not think it's something you can do logically. I do not think it's something you can just go, okay, this is my purpose. Yes. Maybe, but I think often it might not be completely the deep truth, because I think it's so in your unconscious. It's so deep down. And if you think what happens from birth to where you find yourself now, the amount of imprints of various aspects of life on each of us from birth to now, it's trillions of moments and well, I wouldn't say trillions. I haven't worked out how many seconds I've been alive. So let's not say trillions, but it's millions. It's definitely millions of little influences that carve us. And underneath all of that is buried your greater purpose. And I was fortunate enough to go and find a transformational workshop, which I think I was just very ready for. And because I'm very practical and very logical, because those aspects, people think when you're creative, you're all magical, and magic's part of it. But creative people often are into music, and musicians are often into maths. So I'm very mathematical, and it made sense to my reasoning mind, and I discovered my purpose, and it strategically made sense to me, and it profoundly overhauled my entire life. And when I saw the power that it brought to my life, I brought it into our business as a business approach. So I approached my partner and I said to him, I want to try this with a business. He trusted me. And together we've built a business around purpose. And hence I think that's part of our success to date, although I don't think we're anywhere close to where we're going to get to.
I think that the more you discover that purpose, the more you open yourself to that. Actually, the universe, God, actually guide you towards that purpose more than, like you said, more than you can figure out with your head. So I think when we start opening ourselves up for the universe and for God to bless the situation and just be open for whatever need to happen, like the saying go, wherever you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. So let that moment, let the presence create the moment and the magic that it's supposed to create for you at that stage. So yeah, I think more of us can start living in the magic. It's just merely trusting the universe, trusting God, whatever you believe in, but trust it, because it all comes back. Abundance doesn't matter what you believe in. Everything comes back in the sense of abundance. When you give and when you trust, you get back. At least that's how I see it.
I would agree. You know, I think the challenge we face, I was saying earlier on today, I used to smoke for 18 years. And I use this metaphor often because I think it's so, when I look back, it doesn't make sense to me. I cannot believe I'm the same person that did that, because on my box of cigarettes, it used to say smoking kills. Now, how can any human being take out of a box that says this will kill you, take a cigarette and smoke? And I started realizing that knowledge is not power. You know, the knowledge is smoking kills. And if you keep on smoking, the knowledge is not power. It only becomes powerful when you apply the knowledge. And I think what we struggle with as human beings is we know the knowledge, but we struggle with the application of. I haven't figured out yet why. Why would we not do something that really is good for us? And in dealing with people in the business, I've realized if you got a good business and you care really about the people that work for you, it still remains a two-way street. You know, it's not about the business giving everything and the person just sits there in the glory of the business, and vice versa. It's always a two-way street. And I think it must be similar with a relationship between the human being and his or her God, or whatever you see as your higher power. I don't think that's just, I think there's a responsibility that we're lacking as people of doing our bit. And because we lack in doing our bit, we do not reap the glory and the rewards, because we don't have the discipline to do our bit to the level that we really can. And I know this because for 38 years of my life, I didn't do my bit. I worked hard and I worked very hard, and I was good at what I do, but it was all about myself. And hence I wasn't doing my bit. And to your point, I think your bit is to give more. And I think purpose is all about service. Purpose is all about service, not service at the cost of yourself, because I think you still need to sustain. You can't serve anyone if you're not sustainable. So it's not at the cost of being sustainable or non-sustainable. But I think your bit is all about service to others, and service to humanity, and service to mankind, and service to every single thing that we can help improve upon in this world, in this lifetime.
I think a lot of reasons. A reason, well, in my belief, I mean, we talk about generosity and money thinking as well, and it's always great to speak about money, because it's very easy to explain, because you can actually count it. but a lot of reasons people tend to not be able to live in abundance is because of limiting beliefs about money.
100%.
And it's exactly the same with anything else. You've got a limiting belief that's been stuck subconsciously because of how you grew up, how you've been raised at school, at church, at various places. And nothing against any of those places, but I mean that there's certain things. You as a child had big dreams, and somebody actually knock you down, a teacher or somebody told you, but your dreams are stupid or are crazy. And over time, you build up limiting beliefs within your subconscious, and you start believing that and acting upon that. So I think one of the reasons is definitely your limiting beliefs on whatever subject might be the issue.
100% agree. I couldn't agree more. I mean, the thought I've been working with for a decade is that money is the root of all good. And that's a very interesting one, because we are taught that it's the root of evil, and it's not. In the right hands, you can do incredible things with money. Incredible things.
Yes.
So to me, it really is a tool to do magnificent things, and hence one of my key values in my life is wealth. I value it, but I value it not just for the luxuries it affords me, but I value it for what it enables me to do. So it's a very true thing that you say. The limitations and the lenses that we're brought up with are the most limiting factors. But again, that to me is probably part of the journey. And some people are meant to start unlocking those limitations, and others are not. And what's interesting is, if I never found my purpose in 2007, I think I don't think I would have done anything close to what I've achieved this far, which is not that much yet to what I set out to achieve against my vision. But I wouldn't have known how much more I could do. It would have been enough. And I would have probably lived a whole life that I would have thought was the best life I ever could have lived. And that's consciousness. When you're in it, you think it's perfect, but it's so far away from what it really can be. I mean, I'll never forget. I used to drink quite a lot socially. I used to be the life of the party. And I used to be the absolute life of the party. I would close the party down, and people will talk for days about how amazing this guy is. And it's so amazing, so much fun. And my wife at one stage said to me that she wants to stop drinking. And I said to her, well, then we can't be together, because this is part of my life. And to think that as I'm sitting here today, that I said something like that is almost incomprehensible as smoking. But that is how unconscious we are. We think we're highly functional, but we're not. And then just the last quick thing before it sounds like I think I'm so great. Trust me, I had a fight last night with the person I love most in this world. So purpose doesn't suddenly the magic pill that makes everything easier. In fact, I think it makes it more difficult. But it makes life a lot more fulfilled. So I don't have anxiety because I trust. It doesn't mean I don't get angry now and again, or I lose my cool, or I fight with the person I love most. Those things happen and I learn out of them. But I'm much more conscious of the lessons, and I'm much more conscious of the opportunities. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think even COVID-19 is hopefully happening for us to shake us up a bit.
Yes.
And just lift our consciousness.
Definitely. I really believe there's obviously a lot of conspiracies out there and everything, and we're not definitely going into that. But I think I agree with you. COVID-19 came from a religious and from a conscious kind of place that we need to start growing, need to open our eyes and to realize that there is another kind of world out there. The world that we see is really just the way we are currently, and just the filters in front of our eyes. So, and I think that's important, especially if we want to start growing. I think it's important to start talking to peers, talking to somebody like Pepe Marais, to open your eyes and start growing and realize that there is more out there than just your current belief system that's out there. So, yeah, I think I will just to almost like in this part, but to encourage everybody to start having conversations, with difficult conversations, like you just mentioned. I mean, it's when you start living your purpose, you need to grow, and to grow it's most of the time it's difficult conversations and difficult situations where you are, but you start enjoying that because you know it's actually growing you.
You know what, Jasper, I just want to mention one thing, and again, you're spot on. You know, I think this thing about doing things that unsettles us and that's uneasy, and that is where growth happens. So I'll just share a little story. I like sharing this. I shared it early on today again because I think it's relevant, because there's a lot of us that suffer of stuff and we don't speak about it because we're embarrassed about it, or we're going to be lesser than, or, oh, I'm not going to be such a great leader if I'm not perfect, and all this nonsense. I suffered for 20 years of my life with severe social phobia. I mean, to a level that I eventually couldn't go out. And when I had to do presentations, I wouldn't be able to sleep. And often I would sweat so much, it would be embarrassing. The only way, there's two things that helped me to overcome my condition, and it's a very deep condition. And I actually know for a fact that my father suffered from the same condition, which is why he was an alcoholic. I know that now for a fact. When I look back, that's the only reason. And it's one of the key reasons I don't drink, because I don't want to medicate a problem like that. I wanted to sort it out. But there's two things. So the first thing, finding my purpose, started sorting this situation out with me because I grounded myself. I think I wasn't grounded, and hence I was just anxious and suffering severely from this phobia. But the second thing that I did is I started stepping into it. So I started forcing myself to, if someone reached out like you reached out to attend, or if someone asked me to do a keynote in front of a couple hundred people, I would do it. And slowly but surely, I stepped in where most people would sit out. So, and then that to me is the path you need to do with growth. You know, you need to step into the uncomfort of whatever the situation is. And I've done that in all areas of my life. Even stopping drinking alcohol is quite a thing to step into in our society, because you immediately put yourself outside of the social circles as someone who doesn't drink, especially a male in South Africa. But the learning and the growth, and I mean, a small thing, learning to dance sober, is a fascinating creative experience. Very easy to dance when you have quite a few tequilas in and you think you've got rhythm as a white guy. But I promise you, to learn how to dance as if no one's watching when you're stone cold sober is a beautiful experience towards becoming a child again. Because I was fascinated at the fun that children have, but adults don't have fun. We have to drink to have fun. So just to mimic your point you're making, or to support it, it's the things that are deeply uncomfortable that grow us, and that I love stepping into them.
Just to add on that as well, I still drink. I mean, I don't drink a lot, but I drink a regular glass of red wine during the week. And something my wife actually, she basically stopped drinking anything, and she's also she taught me a lot about heart set and soul set and living my purpose. And one thing she always said to me as well is, when you come home and let's call it you're stressed after work and you drink a glass of red wine, you, like you said, you actually just medicate the issue. You're not working on the issue. How do I get my stress levels down? I just drink a red wine and somehow I medicate myself. So it's something, and you give a lot of your power away by doing that. And that's something my wife actually taught me. And so, yeah, just to add on that.
Yeah, I'm now making me aware that I want to, again, be very mindful when I speak like this. These are not things I'm advocating for other people to follow, because I think we're each on our own journey.
Yes.
But for me personally, you know, I did not drink wine, and I loved red wine. I did not drink it though for the taste. I loved getting drunk. So to me, I cannot be a moderate drinker because I'm not drinking for the taste. So it's different strokes for different folks, but it is just quite profound how I went and found new ways of doing old things and how it opened my life. You know, we traveled it's interesting. Part of my journey, I became a vegan. So on top of it, it's like this raving lunatic vegan non-drinking person. But I went into veganism because I had cholesterol, and they wanted to put me on tablets, and I don't want to take medication. I don't believe in medication. So we went, and my wife suggested that I change my eating habit. And within a period of 2 years, I eradicated 100% all cholesterol out of my body. So I started thinking, it's not hereditary. My eating habits were hereditary. The point is, this little journey of eating differently now for more than a decade, when we went traveling through America, suddenly I was like, what am I going to eat? And it forced me to get a RV. For the three of us, we rented an RV and we traveled for 9 weeks through the States. And I would never have done that if I was still a meat eater. I experienced a complete new experience in my life. So more take it metaphorically. I'm not preaching here to become a vegan. It's more, I'm more talking about doing things that's not the way you normally do it. Like
I think
life different.
I agree with you. I don't think there's any preaching. Is also there's no silver bullet or anything that one size fits all. I think it's merely just reflecting on what's working for you and what's working for me. And if somebody can find and resonate with something, wonderful, great. I think that's the whole purpose of today as well. It's not preaching, but really just sharing what's working for us in our heart set and our soul set in our business and in our life. I like your vegan as well. I'm not there, but definitely we also started eating a lot less red meat, especially red meat. I'm still a bit on chicken and fish, but yeah, I'm not totally vegan, but I definitely eat a lot less red meat. And I mean, it's definitely, you can feel the change when you start doing it. It's like somebody that eats, I used to compete a lot in mixed martial arts or martial arts, and doing a lot of weight cuts. And during that times of doing that weight cut and eating very lean, the moment you start eating something bad again, something different, you definitely can feel the change all of a sudden. And it's like anything else in your life. When you start doing the right things, all of a sudden you do the wrong thing, you quickly feel the difference and feel the effect on your body and on your mind on that.
So just quickly on that, you just use right and wrong. I'm writing a second book at the moment. I'll probably launch it in November. I'm starting writing it in a week's time. I've got a bit of a deadline, and I'm writing it on habits. And I was so aware, I didn't want to call them right or wrong, but you used this earlier on. You used the term, and that's the term I'm going to use: limiting and liberating. So I don't think there's good or bad, but there's certain things that limit us from our full potential, and there's other things that liberate us. And that's the way I started viewing things, is not to make things wrong, because I think whatever you want to do, you must do. But there are surely there's certain things that limit us. Negative talk in our own minds, it limits us. It's interesting. I became aware of how I spoke to myself about 15 years ago. I was shocked. I mean, I would never allow anyone else to speak to me like that. But the way I spoke to myself in my own head, like, you stupid fool, you idiot. And I eradicated that way of speaking to myself because it's so limiting. So I love using limiting and liberating as an approach rather than right or wrong, because often I find the wrong things are actually right. The wrong things actually inspires the right thing. It's that normal thing. Is fire bad or good? It inspires new growth. It kills animals and fauna and flora, but it still inspires new growth. So what is it? So I think nature doesn't look at nature, and that's maybe interesting that we don't look at nature enough. We think that businesses must just grow all the time. That's unnatural. There's winters and there's spring and there's summer, season. And we need to find our way to move through that with nature and with the rhythm of nature. So I'm also more and more, as I'm looking literally onto nature across my screen here, beautiful, in the middle of winter. But it's also always fascinating when I sit here and when spring comes and overnight all these trees just explode and there's a new season. So I think we tend to look too in the micro. We tend to look at our businesses from quarter to quarter. We never take a quarter century view. And we really should. If you think sustainably, you should take a 25-year view on your business, on your life, because this thing from Q1 performance, Q2 performance, I saw today, government just released Q1 performance. I mean, it's so micro that you can't visualize, you can't have a vision. We change like rulers within every 5 years or 4 years. You know, it's so short term. And hence you're not creating momentum because you restart with someone new, someone new's ideas. And that's why I believe in purpose so much, because once you have it, it gives you that rudder and you can build everything on it and you can hand it over and you can start looking towards 300 years and say, hey, I want my business to be around for a couple of centuries. So I think we do need a new, more sustainable, long-term thinking view than just this quarterly short-termism approach.
Yes, for sure. You mentioned the morning routines, daily habits. Like as you said, you're writing a book on that as well. It's something that I also resonate a lot. I've been, for the last about 5 years, I've been an early riser, doing certain morning routines, daily habits. I generally run from 4 to 6. I run a morning routine and I do various things, training and reading, online courses, whatever the case may be, starting a part-time business. So I know our time is pretty much up. We've got about 10 odd minutes left. I haven't even watched it. While you're going to speak, I will quickly watch the comments as well, because there's a lot of comments on Facebook. Don't you just want to run us through some of your morning routines and daily habits that seem to be working for you a lot? I know there's a lot of that resonates with both of us, that both of us do. But yeah, I'm very interested in just a short little summary about your morning routines and daily habits.
Hundreds. So I just want to frame it. I'm a true believer that what you measure will manifest. So I'm a measurer. And often people, because the school system measures us and make us feel not good enough, so people are conditioned to think measurement means, oh, I'm not good enough, or if I don't achieve 100%, it's not about that. Measurement to me gives you the truth. So if I say I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water and I drink 5, then I know I drank 5 out of 8. I've got the information and I know, okay, that's what I did today. I didn't do 8. Tomorrow I'm going to try and do 8 again and do 6 out of 8. Measurement to me is consciousness. So I'm just conscious. I'm suddenly aware that's what I did. So I measure every single aspect of my life, every single day of my life except Sundays. That's what I do. I wrote a 25-year plan in 2007 towards 2032. I broke it down into milestones towards what I want to achieve over those 25 years. And I'm currently 13, 14 years into that plan. And every single thing that I put on that original plan in 2007 happened. And I think it happened because I wrote it down and I measured. And I broke it down to annual plan, monthly plan, weekly plans, and daily plans. So a quick little daily thing. I also, not at the moment, so lockdown, I've been getting up at 5. Just because it's saving travel time, and our rhythm shifted by an hour. So I go to bed an hour later. But in general, I'm a 4 o'clock riser. I study, I meditate, 15 minutes. I'll study for an hour and a half. I do my gym every single day. I love gym. I'm actually doing boxing at the moment. I really enjoy it. Then I will sit down, I reflect. I've got a reflecting routine in the morning. And I also will plan my day. I'll check my key actions for the day, which I will then review in the evening that I achieved it. If I didn't, I'll move it on to the next day. And hence I've got a whole bunch of little boxes that I tick as I go through the day, all the way to appreciating 2 people. I'm also busy studying the Course in Miracles. It's quite a piece to work through. You should do it in 365 days. I'm on year number 3. Because every time that I don't deliver, I redo it. So I've been doing that every morning, every night.
That's a big chew. That's quite a big one. Yeah, it's a monster.
I'm doing my MBA at the moment and hopefully going to get my PhD in the next 3 years on the subject of purpose, because I want to put data behind it. And then when I enter my work day normally starts. So my planning for my work day will be between 7 and 8. I'm also very active on Twitter. only platform I'm active on. And I will normally throw out a few tweets in the morning and in the evening after 5. So I don't get, as a rule, I would say 8 out of 10 times I don't get interrupted by social during the day. Very focused during the day. I run my entire day on a diary. And then I've got a couple of rhythm and routines in the evening. But I measure each of these every single day. So I can tell you that last week I achieved 92.7% of every single action that I set out to do in the week. From self-love in the morning, that's one I didn't say now, but my first action in the morning is to profess self-love in the mirror. It's something we struggle with as people. We want everyone to love us, but we don't love ourselves. It's very difficult. It sounds easy. Anyone who's listening or watching, go and try and look yourself in the mirror today and say, I love you. You are amazing. And see if you can do that. Because I remember the first time I did it, I blushed. And I realized something's wrong. If I cannot tell myself I love myself, and I had to start fixing that, you know. So yeah, so that's top line, my little sort of outline of a very, very robust plan, but I can tell you it works.
I think our time is up. I've a lot of more questions in my head. Maybe we must do a part 2 of this talking session. There's a lot of, I actually wrote a number of questions down. I didn't give it to you, just to obviously get all my scattered mind onto a journal and to write it down. But maybe if you're willing, maybe we can do a part 2 of this and just focus a bit more on business and creating value out there, advertising, because that's something I really want to look into as well, to look into generosity, how we create abundance, basically from generosity. So if you're up to it, if you're willing to it, maybe we can arrange again with your PA for another part 2 in maybe a month's time.
Anytime.
Okay. Let me just run. Sorry?
No, I just would say thanks for your time, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. A lot of value has been, I'm sure there's, I can see on Facebook. I just want to run you quickly through there's a lot of people watching, a lot of people just giving respect. Alba for you and say respect, Pepe. Somebody else. It's actually a question. I actually missed that. Pepe, do you think the agency model for social media, digital marketing agencies is scalable? What would you advise smaller agencies to look out for when scaling up or grow? So not sure if you want to do it now and maybe do it in part 2.
Just get a quick. I think, you know what I've learned. It's so tough to say because everything nowadays is about scaling. I would say rather focus, but like intensely, on the caliber of your product, because I think everything follows that. Everything follows that offering, that service that you're giving out. So instead of being concerned about how do I scale it, how do I go bigger, rather put that energy into making your product better. Because what I found is when we focus on that, our business naturally starts scaling. It naturally starts scaling up because of the value we're bringing. And whenever we try to focus on the money or trying to grow our business for the sake of our own pockets, it flatlines. So that would be the only thing. I think we need to get back to why we almost look at the restaurant. Why is a restaurant successful? Food and service. And that's the same for any business for me. So I wouldn't be too concerned about scaling unless you've got like a factory and you're making tin food. But when you're making a creative product, a bespoke product, just make that product excellent and the business will expand around that service offering.
I agree with you. Whenever we give a lot of value, again, get back to generosity, abundance just will flow into your life. Doesn't matter what you believe in, naturally flows into your life. So I definitely agree.
Nature.
Werner van Zyl is one of our monthly accounting clients. Apparently you guys will, I think, at school or something together. Werner van Zyl is in Paul now. He's a landscaper.
My book.
Yes, there you go, Werner. Thank you very much for watching, Werner. He's watching right now. So
that made my day. Geez, he was one of my best friends at school. And in fact, I strive to become an entrepreneur. I mean, not an entrepreneur, an engineer, because his dad was an engineer. And that was one of my inspirations. But then I fell into art. But it's interesting. Jeez, man, that's amazing.
So Werner, there you go. Thank you for watching. And and two amazing souls. Werner's also a really amazing soul. I love spending time with him as well. And then just I think there's somebody that said part 2 will be awesome. So yeah, let's do that if you're up for it. So yeah, thank you everybody that's been watching, that's been commenting here. It's just a little time. I'll go through that, and then maybe we can answer a lot of those questions in part 2. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it, and yeah, blessings from a cold Cape Town.
And thanks so much, Jasper. I'll see you in part 2. I'll fly out the email just now, but thank you for the opportunity, and all the best down in Cape Town.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.